Good morning, guys. It's Bree with Calafia Candle Company, and today's video is going to be all about wax melts. If you remember, if you've been subscribed for a while, I did post a video about wax melts. I want to say it was last year. I forget. Whenever I first got started into the wax melts, I ended up taking it down a few weeks later just because I felt like it wasn't the best quality and I wanted to get some more experience with the melts and then film a more informational video for you guys. So that is what today's video is going to be about. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of tidy up in here. I've been doing other things with my concrete jar sealing and doing product photos and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that cleaned up and then we'll go ahead and get started with the wax melts. So if you're new to the candle making world, you might not even know what a wax melt is. I know I didn't when I first got into this. So these are mine right here, and basically what it is scented wax, and you just break off these little pieces and you put it into a warmer. So here is mine down here, and this little dish basically is what you put your wax in, and then this is the heating part. So it starts to melt down over time and it releases the fragrance. And I love them because there's no flame. I know some people are weird about having flames in their homes, so I think it gives another great option for a scented wax product. So there's a ton of different ways you can package them as well, but this is how I've chosen to package them, in these clamshells. And then I do actually need to make more of my little samples. So these are what I add to every order, just one of these. And I tried to do it in a scent that they have not ordered before, or that's not in that current order. So I definitely need to make more of those because I usually have these other two little baskets filled. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with my signature collection very well, but I used to have 5 scents. I actually just took it down to 4. And the reason for that is because my Miramar scent wasn't performing that great in the concrete candle. So I pulled it to kind of do some retesting, and I can't get it to perform as well as the other scents. So I've completely pulled that scent from every product in my collection. So I took it out of the wax melts, the room sprays, and the candles just to be consistent. And I've just completely axed that scent because it just wasn't working out for me anymore. And that is actually an important note, is after you launch, you still should test every once in a while just to make sure things are going well. And I kind of had an inkling about that scent, and then I actually had 2 people reach out to me and give me the same feedback. So that was when I knew that it was time to pull it and do some retesting and research on that scent, and it just wasn't up to my standards anymore. So I think I'm actually going to replace that with my Renew spring scent. So that is the plan for that. So then I'll have 5 scents again because I like having that. I think that's the perfect amount of scents for a good selection for people. So I need to pour more of those candles actually so I can get that going, but that's for another day. Okay, well that was a tangent. Anyway, I am going to get my wax going so we can get that melted down, and then I'll go over packaging and kind of some other stuff. So this is my little Presto pot that I purchased in the very beginning of my candle making journey, and I've since upgraded to a much larger one for my candles, but this size has been perfect for my wax melts because it is a different wax, and that is an important note to make. You want to make sure you're using a Tart wax for your melts. You're not going to be using the same wax as your candles. I know some people do use the same wax, but then they add like a firmer additive to it. I'm not really sure, but I like to use the C55, which is a coconut Tart wax. And since I use coconut wax for my candles, I kind of wanted to keep it the same for my wax melts. So here is the C55. I get this from Porter Candle Supply, and it is a really hard wax. I actually use this mallet here to break up these bricks. So I like to just do that so I can easily fit them in the Presto pot. And so I'll just add a couple chunks in there. That one is gonna be tight fit. I might break that one up a little bit more actually so it doesn't spill over the edge. Okay, so just added that. And actually Porter Candle Supply sent this little card with my order, so that's been really helpful. It just has instructions for a couple of the different waxes that they offer. So there's the C55 on the bottom, and it says to melt to 200 to 215, and that's kind of what I heat my candle wax to. So I'm just gonna do a little bit past 200 and we'll let that melt down. So there are lots of different ways that you can package your wax melts. I think probably the most popular way and the way that I've chosen to do it is with the clamshell. So this has 6 cavities and it holds 2.5 ounces of wax. And I got these off of Amazon. I'll have them linked down below. I really like them. I like that you can see the product because it's clear. And then when you close it up, it actually has a little like hanger notch, so you can hang it up on a display stand or however else you choose to organize it. So I really like using those, but what I initially wanted to do was use this little craft candy box, and I think these are super cute and I love the way it looks. But what I didn't realize when I ordered them was how shallow the plastic part that you pour the wax into is. That's just not very deep at all, so it doesn't hold a lot of product compared to the clamshell. So there are a lot of different size options for something like this. I know they have an 8 cavity one and I think a 12 cavity too. So something like that would probably be better so you can get a little bit more product in there. But I did hang on to those because I figured I can find a use for those down the road. Those are from Clear Bags too. I'll have those linked down below. These are also from Clear Bags, and these are what I use to package my samples. So these are glassine bags. It's sort of like a wax paper bag, so the wax is not going to stick to the inside of the bag. And then what I use for my samples is this little heart silicone mold from Amazon. I really love this. I think it makes the perfect size for a little sample. It's not too big and it's not too little. And I absolutely love using that for the samples. So that is it, I think, for packaging, and I'll show you how I label them. So I like to label these first before I pour. That's just my preference. So I have my labels here. I make all of my labels on Canva and I print them on online labels label sheets. So these are 2.125 by 2.125, and these are actually the same labels that I use for my room sprays. So it's nice to be able to use a size for a couple different uses. So here's the warning label, and you do have to have a warning label on your wax melts. So definitely research the requirements on that. And I just like to put that in the middle on the inside. And then I'll close it up for the front label. So basically I just try to match the front label over where the warning label is. So that is how the front label turns out. And then when you open it up, the warning label is right there for them to see. So I'm just gonna make a couple of these clamshells for the sake of this video, because really what I need to make is the samples. So I'll just do 2 of the Ola Vista clamshells, and then I need to make some samples for that scent as well. And these are what I use for the sample labels. So these are just 1.5 inch round circles. And I wait to put these on until after I packaged the samples because I actually use these to seal up that little bag. So I did switch out my pouring pitcher. I used different ones for the different waxes. So this is my wax melt pouring pitcher. And the fragrance oil I'm going to be using today is mango and coconut milk from Midwest Fragrance Company. I did finally use up my Candle Science mango and coconut milk, so I'm fully switched over to Midwest. But I did do retesting because even though it's the same scent, it's a different supplier. So I had to make sure that everything was working as it should be. And also, quick note, I did switch to these little twist pour tops. I used to have like the flip top one, but I actually like these a lot better. So I'll have those linked down below. All right, my wax is hot enough and I have my oil all measured out. I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna start measuring my wax. The one thing I have to say about this wax is that it does start to set up very fast. So you have to work quickly with it. But on that same note, since I'm pouring into clamshells, I do need to wait for the wax to cool down to 175 so that it doesn't warp the plastic or anything. But any lower than that, I feel like the wax is gonna start setting up on you. So you do have to work very quickly with it. So I just kind of pour right in the middle here, and it will flatten itself down and just start to fill in all those cavities. And I fill it up almost to the top. And if you do spill, it wipes off pretty easy on these clamshells, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Now I'm gonna move on to the samples. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the samples that I need to get done, and we'll come back when the clamshells are fully cooled and ready to be closed up. Okay, so it's actually been about 4 hours now at this point. I've been busy making some candles and other things, and these are finally cool and ready to close up. So here's how they turned out, and you can see that it dips slightly in each cavity. And that's just because the wax is cooling at such a fast rate. If that bothers you, you can do a second pour and leave a little bit more space for a second pour on the initial pour. And then the second pour will kind of make it more of an even surface. I don't really care, and I feel like the customers don't mind that either. They're just gonna break these apart, so it doesn't really matter in my opinion. And also the label kind of covers that up as well, so. That is how those turned out. And here's one of the Ola Vista samples. So all I do is pop it in the glassine bag. Oh, not drop it. And fold this little top over like that. And then I just stick the sticker on there and seal it shut that way. And there is a wax melt sample. So that is the end of the video. I hope you guys found it helpful, and if you did, feel free to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.